Welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. The Dragalia Lost Nintendo Direct contained many hidden details about the game. Today, I'm analyzing everything shown about dragons and the game's castle building mode, the Halidom. Just how are these two topics related? We'll get to that in a bit. First, let's discuss dragons. Dragons play a central role in the story of Dragalia Lost, in which royalty are said to have the blood of dragons. Reflecting this, the game's title, Dragalia, is literally a portmanteau of dragon and regalia. The pacts bound between dragons and humans are key to protecting the land of Alberia, the game's setting. One of the first dragons we're introduced to in the Direct is the great worm Midgardsormr, who we see in both the story and gameplay context. The gameplay of dragons is essentially as follows. Adventurers can bond with one dragon at a time. In battle, they can then transform into that dragon once their shapeshift gauge clears a certain threshold. Defeating monsters and breaking dragon obelisks grants gems that help fill up the gauge. Once transformed, you play as your dragon for a limited amount of time, who may deal more damage or even have a different element than the adventurer to which it's assigned. Several dragons are shown off in the Direct, including great worms of each element who probably play a role in the story and are acquired through story quests. Besides the windworm Midgardsormr, the Direct featured the lightworm Jupiter, the waterworm Mercury, the shadowworm Zodiark, and the flameworm Brunhilde. Interestingly, the official English website for Dragalia Lost lists Mercury as being pact-bound to Emil, one of the protagonist's older siblings, so it looks like you'll have to work at unlocking these dragons. We see Emil on Chapter 2 of the story, Ravaged Village, so perhaps by clearing Chapter 2, players will unlock Mercury. Besides story, of course, we also know that dragons will be obtained through summoning. We see 4 examples in the Direct: Zephyr Imp, Juggernaut, Vodyanoi, and Cinderdrake, each of which have a star rarity. The summoning circle shows a pack stone when dragons are summoned, with the gold color likely corresponding to a 5-star. But besides that, the Direct itself was pretty slim on details when it comes to dragons. We never see their stats, although it's a safe bet that these include HP, Strength, and Might. We also never see whether dragons can be promoted, whether multiple copies can be obtained, or even whether they can be upgraded and leveled up. Thankfully, screenshots Nintendo distributed after the Direct contain more details. First of all, we see 2 more dragons being summoned, Ifrit and Nidhogg, who confirms 5-star dragons exist. Next, there are 2 relevant messages on the Upgrade tab. First, there is a button for dragons, which is probably used to raise their level and stats using farmable resources. But second, Ronzel offers the player a tip in his speech bubble. Feeding fruit to dragons makes them stronger. Well, we may see that in action in the next few screenshots. Dragons can be gifted offerings to increase their bonds with adventurers. The bond level is the number next to the musical note, and the numbers in the bar are the amount of points to level up. On Dragalia Lost's website, we see a gift of Tasty Milk raises Midgardsormr's bond by 300 points. And besides Midgardsormr, we also meet a new dragon, Phoenix. And can we just talk about Phoenix for a second? There's so much going on here. She's a dragon, who's also a woman, who's named after a firebird. So, yeah. It looks like dragons can be waifus and husbandos too. There's even some gender bending at work as we see Ronzel can transform into her in another screenshot. That aside, the screenshot of Phoenix has a bit more information. Rupees are spent to purchase various gifts for dragons in a shop, and another tab exists where other items can be used. The number of purchasable gifts resets daily, possibly at 3 p.m. Japan time based on the image, which would be 11 p.m. or 12 midnight Pacific time. Next, we see the effects of gifts on another new dragon called Fubuki. In this case, Fubuki's shapeshift time is extended when its bond increases. Players also receive a dragon thank you, which includes a dew that looks similar to Eldwater and some type of shadowy gem. And where does this whole offering process take place? This is where the Halidom comes in. The Dragon's Roost is just one of many parts of the Halidom where benefits can be accrued. Next, let's check out the castle grounds. The castle grounds was shown off prominently in the Direct, and it's basically a building suite where players can construct facilities that provide benefits elsewhere in the game. On the main page of the castle grounds, buttons exist for Collect All, Storehouse, and Build. We see a 2 of 2 icon in the top left corner of that screenshot, possibly indicating how many construction projects can take place at once. The Direct then gives us a closer look at the Build tab, where we see the Rupee Mine. Besides facilities like this, it looks like adventurers and decorations can also be placed in the Halidom, based on the other 2 tabs, perhaps just for decoration, or to provide some other benefits. The final screenshot explains what the Rupee Mine does, which is fairly straightforward. Every 6 hours, the Rupee Mine generates some amount of rupees, up to a capacity of 400 if they aren't collected sooner. It costs 50 rupees and takes only 3 seconds to build the mine. Based on this, we can assume collect all and the storehouse refer to resources like rupees generated by facilities. We also learned in the Direct that facilities are unlocked and change as players level up their account. Brand new facilities can be constructed, like the Wind Altar when going from level 3 to level 4, and old facilities can have their max level increase, like the Smithy in this case. The Wind Altar probably boosts wind adventurers in battle, while the Smithy may play a role in crafting. We also see Ronsel, Elisan, and Cleo around the Halidom in another screenshot. Maybe this is just cosmetic, but it does look like they're up to various activities. Elisan seems to be training, and Ronsel and Cleo are around a campfire, perhaps doing some cooking or sharing stories. Next we get a peek at what a much more developed Halidom looks like. I've done my best to identify the various facilities shown, which I think include the Rupee Mine, an altar for each element, and the Smithy. Notice how some structures are much more elaborate than those seen in previous screenshots, suggesting visuals change with facility level. And that's everything we've seen about Castle Grounds. But what about the rest of the Halidom? While I haven't found an English screenshot of Adventurer, Dragon, or Castle Stories, Gematsu published a Japanese screenshot of the Adventurer Stories page. The top 3 buttons allow players to toggle between the 3 types of stories from within that page, and the bottom 2 buttons allow for toggling between read and unread stories. The character portraits of Elisan, Cleo, and Ronsel all have, roughly translated, Episode 1 or Conversation 1 beneath their name. These would appear to be different dialogue scenarios, and just going off Google Translate here, they are Saint Knight's Hobby, Cleaning Bargain, and a man named Ronsel, respectively. These scenarios seem like a really cool way to connect with adventurers. During a June interview with Famitsu, Cygames revealed that each adventurer will have their own side stories as well. The scroll and quill iconography also brings to mind first encounters on the summoning tab, so maybe that will function similarly, since it's still not clear what that does. And with that, I've covered everything we know so far about dragons and the Halidom. Thank you for watching. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to managing your castle grounds, or do you see it as more of a chore? How do you feel about the dragons shown so far? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you once again, and see you next time.